The Indianapolis Colts are just another team that I think absolutely nailed the draft and the offseason as a whole. They made moves that were risky, but I really do believe will pay off in the end. They're not fully there yet, maybe not this year, or perhaps they can pull off something that we don't expect, but I think right now they're building for the future and the near future, not like, 4 years from now. They're really close to being a real contender in the NFL because of making splash moves like they did this year. You don't get far by playing it safe. Like the Cowboys, for example, they always make the case that we build and we think for the future, for the long term. But look at the Rams and their Super Bowl that they got. I'm pretty sure that the Cowboys would trade a Super Bowl, especially Jerry Jones would trade a Super Bowl. They would trade all the moves that they made in their strategy for a Super Bowl. Being aggressive usually pays off in sports if you know what you're doing. And I think the Colts know what they're doing. And I'm going to be going over all of their draft picks and their offseason and just where they stand right now as a roster. And everyone knows already with the first pick, the Colts made the move of the draft, arguably, getting Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. And honestly, I was hoping for Indy to do this. I think this was the best move that they could have made with the guys that were left on the board, obviously, but I really wouldn't have been shocked if the Texans made that move to get Anthony Richardson. Number one was stretching it, but dude, I think Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling out of anyone in this draft. He's likely to start to begin the season. I think he should start. I think experience is needed. Sheltering QBs, benching them to make them learn unless they really need it, if they're not like a first round talent. I think it's a bad idea. There's no shame in starting a QB, your rookie, right off the bat. Like guys like Goff, for example, he probably wasn't in the best he wasn't in the best situation, but I think it paid off in the long run for his career to be starting as a rookie in that shitty ass team that he was on in 2016. You look at Jalen Hurts, Shane Steichen, their new coach, used to coach Hurts, and he's now in Indy. The offense is QB friendly, and Shane Steichen is the reason for that. He'll make it comfortable for Anthony Richardson in his rookie year, and nothing will be perfect. We'll see flashes like we saw with Hurts in 2020. It's likely a 1 to 2 year period until he fully develops. I really don't think it's going to take that long, and the payoff is enormous. It could be a Super Bowl real soon because Anthony Richardson is just that good athletically and physically. So that's a grade A. That's hands down just a really great pick. With their second pick, this was one of my favorite and the most underrated picks this year. Probably the most underrated. The Colts draft class is full of them. At 6'3", 200, Julius Brents, cornerback out of Kansas State. He plays to his size, which you'd be surprised not a lot of corners do that, young corners especially. He's extremely physical, fluid tackler, sheds blocks like nobody's business. He's a massive team and scheme fit. Indy loves zone with Gus Bradley, and Bradley has a history with big corners. It was a part of the birth of the Legion of Boom, drafting Sherman, having Brandon Browner, Ramsey with the Jags, Michael Davis with the Chargers, Nate Hobbs with the Raiders, and now Brents. Bradley knows what he wants in his players, and he got that with this pick. And I know he's not the GM or head coach, but as a DC or any coordinator for that matter, you still have a strong say when it comes to the draft. And corner was a huge need for Indy. Isaiah Rodgers is now gone because of the gambling incident, so right now they're very thin, and they would be even thinner if it wasn't for some picks in this draft. He shows up consistently in press coverage, and that circles back to his physicality. And he played amazing versus top receiver prospect Quentin Johnston in the Big 12 championship this year. So all around, just a great fit and a great pick. Another A grade. With the third pick, Josh Downs, wide receiver out of North Carolina, just another slam dunk. He's probably my favorite wide receiver in the draft. Another insane steal, or fall, I guess you can say. There's usually a lot of good route runners in the draft, but Downs is different. Route running, knowing when and where to break off, knowing when the D is trying to reroute him. He knows it all. He's got some of the smoothest feet I've ever seen. More than route running, his feet set you up. That's like a cat and mouse game with him. Even though he's 5'9", and 171 pounds, he plays way bigger than his size. He has great ball skills in the air, and he catches over guys that are really taller than him. You just look at the film, he's got multiple games and highlights where he's just bagging receivers that are like 3 inches taller than him at least. Corners, excuse me. He looks like a veteran with the ball in his hands, and people talk about Zay Flowers reminding them of Antonio Brown in his prime. Downs reminds me of AB in his prime just as much. Not to say he's perfect, but everything he does like a 4-year pro. And in my opinion, any measurable, any small knock is null and void when you turn on his highlights. I think he likely wins wins the wide receiver 2 job. Now, how hard that'll be or when that even happens, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes Richardson's top guy. With the 4th pick, Blake Freeland, offensive tackle out of BYU. Now, the Colts offensive line just, took a huge shit. But I don't think it's really that bad, and Blake Freeland definitely helps with depth. He's massive at 6'8", only 302 pounds, but he plays like he's like 325. He has experience on either side, started at right tackle, then moved to left. Great fluidity for his size, great athlete with a 4.9 40. He's got elite traits, just another guy that needs like a full offseason, some playing time, and he can hit big. Ryman and him will fight for the left tackle spot. It's no given as Ryman showed improvement, so it's going to be an uphill battle. Only issue would be controlling his leverage and balance and pass protection to combat those power rushes and shit. But overall, great pick. I say a B grade. With the 5th pick, another great steal out of Tama Adebaware, defensive tackle / edge out of Northwestern. Adebaware is one of the most fascinating prospects. True cheat code of a human. He's 6'2", 282 pounds, 34-inch arms, 10.5-inch hands, 4'4", 940 at 282 pounds. He's a positionless player on the defensive line. He'll have to figure it out as far as where he wants to be used mostly, or more importantly, where the team wants to use him. His weight, it can get a bit tricky there, but I say let him be a freak, wherever he wants to be. His gift is that he's big and can run fast and can play on either side and in the middle. So if he has a gift, a natural ability to line up anywhere, let him use it. But you never know. He may bulk up a bit. He may cut down. I think by this point, if he hasn't done it, I think he's going to stay at the weight that he is now. Or if he has already done something with his weight, let me know. I'm not really sure, but anywhere is fine on the defensive line for him. I think he's going to, find himself in the rotation a lot quicker than anticipated. His ceiling is sky high. His quickness with his body and his hands off the edge is jarring. His speed and pad level show up inside. He's got the talent, but he might need just a few games. He might take till the end of the season for all we know, but that's an A grade for me. Another corner, Darius Rush with the 6th pick out of South Carolina. Him and Cam Smith were a great duo last year. Rush started to get more and more playing time and attention later on. Interestingly enough, he moved from wide receiver to cornerback in his freshman year, kind of like Trayvon Diggs did. And he has all the physical tools. He's 6'2", and he runs a 4.3 40. He's got great ball skills and play recognition. He just needs more consistent play, and that'll come with time like most players. He's not afraid to be tested deep. He plays the ball well in the air. Another example of a player with tremendous upside potential. Colts kept the same vision with this draft. I'm going to give this a B grade. With the 7th pick, Colts stayed with DB. They went Daniel Scott, safety out of Cal. He's an experienced veteran at the collegiate level. He turns 25 during the 2023 season, so he's a bit of an older rookie. Great athlete, plays very free but disciplined when lined up deep, and he can afford to be aggressive with his speed. Takes great angles on tackles, runs with intention to light someone up. With experience, he can easily develop a role. 167 tackles and 6 interceptions over the last 2 seasons. Indy took chances like this because of the draft capital that they had, and it's one of the reasons why they did so well in my opinion, because they weren't afraid to make moves that, and not even just raw prospects, good players. These guys are gonna find themselves likely to have a role. It might take a few games, but these guys are promising. I'm gonna give that a B grade as well. And for the next few picks, I'm going to do a little speed run. They got Will Mallory, tight end out of Miami. Evan Hull, running back out of Northwestern. Titus Leo, edge out of Wagner. Jalen Jones, cornerback, another corner out of Texas A&M. And Jake Witt, offensive tackle out of Northern Michigan. Everyone in this group was drafted in the 5th round or later and are all considered to be projects with a lot of promising film to go off of. Like I mentioned before, that was the case with a lot of these guys. The Colts smartly used every pick they had to fill their roster with guys they feel like have a future with them and not just someone to draft just to do so. I feel like I can't really explain it, why that is the case. That's just how I feel, and you can just kind of tell. If you watch like football long enough, I feel like a lot of people and Colts fans especially have that feeling that they really put a lot of thought into every single pick. They had a lot of picks, but you could just feel that there was an intention there with every pick that they had. There's obviously a possibility not everyone here will be with the Colts next year or even be on a roster, but that's the case with all late round picks. But usually the more you have, the more likely you are to find a gem. Out of everyone I named, I think Will Mallory probably has the best chance to see most playing time due to Indianapolis not having a clear-cut tight end one, but you never know. It's an uphill battle for everyone, but that's what can make or break a lot of young talented guys. And that was the full draft. You can make an argument that it was the best. A lot of good ones. The Steelers had a great one. Texans, Giants, Chiefs, Patriots, Packers. There are a lot of good drafts. There always are, but something about the Colts, man. I just feel like they got so many steals. Like Josh Downs was an absolute steal. I'm really surprised he fell to the third. That's crazy. Adetomo Adebawore, if I'm saying that name right. Goddamn. I think I am. He's great. I think he's someone that he can fall to a third string. He might not even make a roster, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think the hype is real. I think he legitimately is like a guy that in like 6 games he can be dominating in the rotation. So it's definitely an exciting time in Indy. And Anthony Richardson, I mean, that's just like the cherry on top. That was a blessing for them, in my opinion. I think that's the Colt. That was the Colts' the best thing that could have happened to them. Their roster as of right now, I think it's better than last year. I think their O-line, even though it was shitty last year, it's not as bad as people think. I don't think they will be as bad as last year. Michael Pittman is someone that they might extend soon. I would probably put that at the top of my list of priorities if I were the Colts. Start Anthony Richardson. I think that'll benefit him. It'll obviously be tough, but you never know. It could be fucking amazing. But because let's just be real, that division, I mean, the Jags, you know, they're likely going to win that division, but you never know. You could probably sneak in a wild card spot if, you know, your defense steps up. JT has a season like he did 2 years ago. Yeah, it's high expectations for the Colts. I think they're a legit team this year. Like, they could be competitive. I think it's going to take a while for them to really take that step of, okay, they're Super Bowl contenders, but their ceiling is playoffs. I think they have a chance. Someone else too, EJ Speed. I think that was a huge re-sign. He's someone that doesn't get enough recognition. He's a great player. They also got Samson Ebukam in free agency, Matt Gay, the kicker. If you're a Colts fan, it's looking up. You know, I think this is it. This is the quarterback of your future. Like the past 4 years, it's been like a complete roller coaster. I think you guys had like at least 8 starting quarterbacks in the past 4 years. So I might have some more of these, maybe one with the Texans, and maybe I'll do a few more. I'm going to get more back into the film room videos of individual players soon, and some other things like the podcast, just maybe some news posts here and there on here, just breaking down some of the breaking news and just shooting the shit about the NFL. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of content on here, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. I have an Instagram account as well. I really recommend you check it out. It's a great Instagram page. It has all sorts of content, just everything NFL and college football that you could think of. Highlights, news, just rankings, everything. Instagram at the Deep Ball. Thanks so much for supporting. You mean the world to me. And leave a comment. Give me some suggestions for some future vids. Appreciate y'all. I'll see you soon.